and welcome. You're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with UATV. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has held a telephone conversation with French President Emmanuel Macron, during which he informed about the deaths of 4 Ukrainian soldiers in Donbas and also called on the leaders of the Normandy Four countries to immediately meet. The French leader supported the initiative and added that he would contact Russian President Vladimir Putin and German Chancellor Angela Merkel to have their consent on this initiative. To discuss this, we welcome to the studio today Mykhailo Samus. He is the Deputy Director for International Affairs at the Center for Army Conversion and Disarmament Studies. Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So just to remind our audience that on August 6th, 4 Ukrainian soldiers were killed in a shelling in the Donbas conflict zone, and this is happening just during the so-called harvest ceasefire. After this, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that now it's absolutely clear who does not want peace. He had a phone conversation with Vladimir Putin, although it's not clear what Vladimir Putin actually answered. And Ukraine's representative in Minsk negotiations, Roman Besmertny, said that now the controllability of the militants is at a very low level. In your opinion, what could this mean?
To be honest, I really don't understand what you're talking about, because for the last 5 years we understand who is who, and from my estimation, we don't have any militias or any guerrillas on the occupied Donbas. We have only the occupied forces. Doesn't actually. It's not really important how they looks like. They looks like guerrillas, looks like Russian soldiers. But anyway, it's Russian soldiers because all of them under contract with Russian Armed Forces, FSB, and GRU. And in our center, we for 5 years actually understand that we have a civilian administration for occupation and military occupation administration or military occupation forces by Russia. And as I understand, for President Zelensky, as he just arrived to the office, it's very important to understand the, let's say, the space and the framework of this conflict, because he was pretty far from all of this stuff, and now he's trying to understand together with our foreign partners, because he called to Mr. Putin and asked him to ask people in Donetsk to stop actually make shelling against Ukrainian forces, and I think it doesn't make sense, and it's against the logic of all of the Ukrainian position for now. And I think now, unfortunately, new administration in Ukraine, they don't have the real strategy and concept for this conflict.
In your personal opinion, this concept, what should it be?
It depends, of course, of understanding of the conflict in administration, because they issue responsibility, not me, and not you. And actually, during the election campaign, candidate Zelensky told that we need to find a way for peace. But of course we understand that peace, it means capitulation, or peace, it means victory. For Putin, of course, peace, when we're talking about Ukraine, of course it's a victory by Russia. Not, of course, some compromise, and not, of course, the let's say, step back. So I think Zelensky should understand it as soon as possible. But I think, it's not easy to understand for him. And I think this, let's say, negotiations and maybe Normandy format meeting will be very important for him to understand reality.
Speaking of Normandy format meeting, President Zelensky said that he has urged all the other members to have an urgent meeting. Just like you said earlier, the war has been going on for the 6th year now, and we've had plenty of Normandy format meetings. Will this upcoming meeting, if it does happen, will it change anything?
I think it's very important for President Zelensky to understand reality, but it's not important for all of the process of find the way from the conflict. I mean, we had a lot of meetings in Normandy format, and we understand that
exactly.
In this Normandy format, unfortunately, if we're talking about the reality, we have a free mediator in one country, Ukraine, which it looks like we need some help. So France, Germany, and Russia, they are not, let's say, sides of the conflict. And Russia, they present it like itself, like they are not a side, a part of the conflict. Only Ukraine, Ukrainian crisis, and Ukraine needs to find the Kiev leadership needs to find a way to how to speak with Donetsk leaders, and this is one of the main requirements, or one of the main idea by Mr. Putin. What they're talking about it, to find the way, to find the approach how to make direct negotiations between Kiev and Donetsk. And of course, it's against the reality, but unfortunately, Berlin and Paris, they are not clearly against this, let's say, approach of Moscow. So, and this is a problem for President Zelensky, because when he will try to give some impulse, a new impulse in Normandy format, I'm not sure that it will change the Normandy format. So that's why, for example, I propose to destroy it. I mean, destroy the Normandy format and try to build something new, together with Washington, for example, and London.
Speaking of that,
London, and of course European Union, not Paris and Berlin, because I'm not sure that Berlin and Paris, it's like subjects we need to have on the table. Because
do you think we need more parties to the discussion of the conflict?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sure, because we have a deadlock on this. We understand that Paris and Berlin, they have own interests in this. Of course, for them, the main interest to find solution to make this conflict stop, maybe frozen, maybe with victory of Russia, maybe of some capitulation of Ukraine. To be honest, they don't care. They just want to stop the conflict.
That's true.
To stop the fighting, to stop, of course, the killing of the people. But if you're talking about the national interests of Ukraine, of course they don't care. They care about own interest. And that's why I propose to give more space for another countries like United States, European Union as an organization, because it's more, let's say, complicated to find the one voice of the countries of European Union, but I'm sure it could be more, let's say, honest and more maybe pragmatic compared to voice of Berlin, which has absolutely clear interest, for example, in energy sector, to stop
economically motivated,
to stop conflict, and any cases to stop conflict and continue their business with Russia in energy sector or other sectors of business. They have a lot of investments in Russia.
Well, the United States have already made a proposition this week to organize a meeting with the special representative for Ukraine from America, Kurt Volker, and the Russian presidential aide, Vladislav Surkov. Of course, there is no response from Russia, but in your opinion, how could this meeting change the course of the conflict, if that's possible? Yeah,
now we have two problems here. First problem, that President Trump doesn't need to have a Ukrainian case in his presidential campaign, because it's very soon start on the active phase, and I'm not sure that Ukrainian case could be successful for him totally. And remember about the North Korea case, Balkan case, Iran, what else? actually a lot of tries for Trump to be successful on the international arena. We don't have any success stories, and I'm not sure that of course, Mr. Putin understands it. The second problem connected to him. If he finds motivation for himself to agree on this format, a new format together with the United States. For example, if Trump will say that we will meet every 2 months together on the TV, on the media, and Putin will interested in this, I think it could be one of the motivation for Putin to agree on this new format together with Trump and UK and other leaders. So like to be presented on the high level of international relations. But otherwise, I'm not sure that Putin is interested in really to stop the conflict, because this conflict with Ukraine is a great instrument, of course, to influence on Ukraine, to keep Ukraine under control. Because can you imagine that now we don't have any conflict between Ukraine and Russia? Putin will be out of Ukraine totally. So this conflict and Crimea, of course, it's instruments to keep Ukraine closer and keep Ukraine under control and trying to make even more. But other side, this conflict is instrument to be in the top of the international politics for Putin.
Right.
Because if we look at Russia in reality, not like we understand it in our still common informational space between Ukraine and Russia, that Russia is a great country, Russia is almost the same like Soviet Union. In reality, Russia now it's a simple regional state with very weak economy and old military, actually. And Russia cannot be a real competitor for China and the United States now. But in informational reality, we have this strong empire, and Putin tried to keep this image. And Ukrainian conflict
for the Russian citizens also.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. The main purpose of Putin is keep the authority, keep the power inside of the country, of course, for his team. And this is a great way to keep it. The Ukrainian crisis, so-called Ukrainian crisis, the conflict with Ukraine. So for President Zelensky, it's a huge problem to understand that Putin doesn't want to make peace, of course.
Right.
Even Putin could talk about it all times, every second. But I am not sure that this is motivation, Mr. Putin, to stop this war.
Well, we all hope that the conflict will resolve eventually with the most optimistic outcome for Ukraine as possible. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
That was Mykhailo Samus. He's the Deputy Director for International Affairs at the Center for Army, Conversion and Disarmament Studies. Thank you so much for watching UATV. Stay tuned for more.